Hello everyone, and welcome back to Modern Warships with Terry. Today we'll be looking at a frigate, and I do realize that it's not quite as obvious as in, say, World of Warships what the distribution of roles between ships is. So in World of Warships you have destroyers, you've got cruisers, you've got battleships, you've got carriers, and then within these you sort of have these subgroupings. And a rather similar concept exists here as well, although not quite as pronounced. In this case, this is one of the smaller ships. So what is the advantage of small ships? Why would you want a small ship? Well, small ships tend to be more maneuverable, and while they don't have the same weapon layout as like frontline destroyers or long-range missile destroyers, they do have a good radar range and a good spotting range. Now, generally, you want your carrier to do the spotting, but if there's no carrier around, you can get one of these things to do it. The other thing that they're pretty good at is escort. And that makes sense, because that's one thing that they were traditionally also used for. So, in this case, we have the Chinese Type 53H2G frigate. This thing existed. This was actually a frigate from the, I think, 1990s when these were launched. They were supposed to be air defense ships, but had certain amount of multi-role capabilities. They were phased out relatively recently, I think in the mid to 2010s or so. They were phased out and were relegated to Coast Guard duty. But these ships actually existed. And that means we can take a look at what we've got here. Now, like I said, small ship, but this was an air defense multi-role ship. So in this case, we get actually 5 slots for air defense, which is pretty good. I have set this ship up, and yes, I know that people generally feel that certain weapon systems are better than others, and I still enjoy putting the correct weapon systems on ships. So I'm not putting American systems onto a Chinese frigate, because that just feels wrong. But I do have the dual CJ-20 missile launchers. These are relatively small missiles, but they launch 2 of them, I think. So it's one missile launcher, but it launches 2 missiles. That's what I'm trying to say. We do have a 100mm cannon in front. We actually have the HQ-7 close-range surface-to-air missiles up front here. I think historically these were on the successor, not on the H2G version on these. That still had an older SAM system than what we have here, but it's close enough, I guess. And then we have a quad slot. And I actually have put the 30mm CWIS systems, the Chinese version of them, in here. Because I find that the CWIS works reasonably well, actually. I used to go all rockets, all SAMs with these things, but I find that the CWIS actually works pretty well. And I actually have the Chinese helicopter on this thing. So let's have a very quick look at this equipment and see what all these things can actually do. Now, this helicopter is very fast. If you compare it to the other Tier 2 helicopters, this thing is even faster than the British Superlynx, and is I think is even quicker than the legendary, the hero thing that you could get. This is a very, very fast helicopter. On the downside, it only gets air-to-ground missiles and a Gatling gun, but no anti-submarine warfare capabilities. You can spot them, but you can't do anything about them. What else did we have? Yeah, so if we look at the AA, the HQ-7 is sort of special in the amount of damage it does. So this is a relatively short-range missile system, but does a large amount of damage. The quadruple CWIS system is actually really quite brutal as well, because obviously it's got a small magazine. It needs to reload more often, but it does deal a lot of damage to air systems. Yeah, the one thing you might notice, there's absolutely zero anti-submarine warfare capability in this ship. So that's something to be aware of. When you see a submarine, you can't do an awful lot about it unless they come up to the surface. Playstyle-wise, I find myself mostly using the helicopter for scout if there's no carrier around, or if the carrier is, well, refusing to scout. And otherwise, escorting more powerful ships, because you don't have the firepower by yourself, or obviously with a small ship like this, the survivability by yourself to just go on your lonesome and brawl something. But she can evade torpedoes pretty well, and if you pair her with another ship, this is actually a really good support ship. So let's get into some games. In the first game, we're playing on Greenlands. And it's always the moment of truth. Yeah, there is a carrier, so I'm probably not going to be going to need to scout. And I'm just going to find myself something to escort. Now I'm spawning next to the friendly submarine. So I'm just getting the helicopter up in the air, but I'm actually going to relocate very quickly and get next to our carrier. Because carriers tend to attract a bit of attention, and while I'm no good in defending against torpedoes, I'm pretty useless next to a submarine as well, because a submarine tends to be well submerged and does not have to be afraid of air attacks very much. Okay, we've got, and I have no idea what that thing is, but it looks relatively quick, so we're going to start opening up. And obviously, because of the carrier scouts, I can see him, but he can't see me. So we're going to see if we can get some shots into that thing before I get spotted. And I'm now in position next to the carrier, so I'm just parking myself here. And now I'm spotted, but now we can concentrate our firepower. And I just keep unloading missiles and gunfire on that thing. And yeah, don't underestimate these guns. They are they might be relatively small caliber, but they're not bad. You do have to wait for after firing a burst. You do have to wait for the alignment to get back in. Okay, and that thing is down. I don't know what he was trying to achieve, but he's now dead. We have lost one of our own corvette or frigate, so let's keep an eye around. Okay, there's something on the right side, but there we have spotted something over there, which might just be, is that the enemy carrier? Yes, that is the Admiral Kuznetsov. So once again, I'm going to park myself here because there are planes coming in, and he is in range, so I can just start unloading with missiles and guns at that thing. Obviously, you know, carriers have relatively good air defense, but there are two friendly carriers, so there might be air attacks coming in. Okay, now my Seavis is opening up at missiles that are coming in from the right side. I don't know who is shooting those right now, but I don't really have to worry about them too much. I can rely, if you're not moving around too much, but you're more or less stationary, the Seavis is pretty effective in taking out both planes and short-range shots. So there's more missiles coming up, and you see the 30 mils opening up and doing what they can to shoot those down. And meanwhile, I'm just, you know, I keep unloading with guns and missiles at the Kuznetsov. I don't have the greatest amount of damage output, but right now I'm just trying to keep my carrier safe. Now there is a submarine which seems to be launching cruise missiles from us on the eastern end here of the map. So there come the enemy planes, and that's the HQ-7 doing some damage, but the Seavis also shredding through them. So these planes are not going to live very long. Yep, they're gone. So no airstrikes on the friendly carrier on my watch here. But that submarine is coming reasonably close. Now I'm not great at doing something about submarines if they're underwater. But if that's like, say, a Kursk or something that is launching, that needs to surface to launch missiles, then I can definitely do something about it. And there's more missiles coming in that way. I actually took one, I believe. And no, it's not the Kursk, but it's still a missile submarine. So let's tell him that he's not welcome here, shall we? And get some of our short-range missiles off and force him to submerge, which means that he can only fire torpedoes. And meanwhile, we're once again shooting down enemy planes and moving over now to deal with the submarine. We're still even. We're still even here in kills. And that's a dead submarine. Now I have been moving, so I think one of his missiles may have gotten through. But we've got that submarine sunk, and now we have the Admiral Kuznetsov coming in very aggressively there. Let's see if he pokes out beyond the island. But first of all, I'm going to help out on this and get some flanking shots into that thing over there. See that we can do something, but it looks like the Kuznetsov is actually going to come around. So yeah, no, it's not the Kuznetsov, it's the Queen Elizabeth. Where's he coming from? Okay, Sunshine, I don't know what your plan was here, but yes, air attack obviously, I can tell, but you're not going to have a great amount of fun. And I'm trying to link up once again with my friendly carrier here. Haven't used any consumables yet because The combination of the HQ7 and the 30 mils are going to do an absolute number on his planes, while at the same time also dealing with missiles. Now there are 2 carriers left, so there's a lot of planes, but they will stay. You see them dropping out of the sky already. So that Queen Elizabeth is not going to have a great fun. And I've once again linked up with the friendly carrier, and there's the Kuznetsov back there. So now that that's the last ship alive, and I've used the friendly carrier's AA to help out as well, I can start heading over there again and just try not to run into the wreck of the Queen Elizabeth. But that Kuznetsov is dead as well, and that is a victory. So we've done a grand total of 420,000 damage, which isn't bad for a tier 2 game, especially in a ship that actually doesn't have a lot of offensive firepower. She does, however, have a lot of defensive firepower, as you can tell. So a lot of this is going to have been damage done to missiles and airplanes. All right, let's go again. In the second round, we are playing on unexplored rocks. And I'm not sure if there's no carrier around. So at this point, I'm going to use my helicopter for scouting. So switching over to the helicopter, and look how quick that thing is. That is a quick helicopter, so you can very, very rapidly get, there seems to be an enemy helicopter coming in doing the same thing that I'm doing. You can rapidly spot the enemy team, and that is extremely important. Yep, there we've got something. That's a Duncan. Okay, so I'm unloading some rockets at the Duncan, and then switching back to the ship. My helicopter is going to return, but he's done a nice 24,000 points of damage, 25, 26. And we have spotted a lot of the enemy team as well, so I can start opening up. The Duncan is behind an island, so once again, I do want to not go out alone. But it looks like I'm going to have to keep our left flank clean here. So I'm going to go bow in towards the Duncan. Duncan obviously has more firepower than I do, so I do need to be careful here. And especially that once the helicopters are... Yeah, I'm going to try and link up with the friendly ship. And yes, the Duncan is now coming under fire from 2 ships. Perfect, he's not shooting at me. Helicopters tend to distract the AA because they take a while to shoot down. So I have to be careful about missiles while my AA is harking on the enemy helicopter. Okay, that's the Duncan down. There's one of those, whatever that is, US frigates over there. And I'm going to just get some shots in because he's relatively low on health. But yeah, I need to... we've lost one ship, they've lost one ship. I'm trying to link up again with the friendly destroyer or whatever that was there. There's a Kursk on the surface. Are you sure about this? Yeah, he goes and submerges. So, I mean, if he doesn't, he's dead. Are you going to? Yeah, he's going underwater. Okay. There's nothing I can do about the Kursk if he's underwater. If he launches torpedoes at me, I can dodge them. But I'll find myself something else to shoot at. In the meantime, there come some missiles, but it looks like the Kursk is shooting at something else. I'm just going to ignore him for now. And see if I can deal with that thing. Whatever that is. I'm gonna have to research some of those newly added ships. Okay, that's destroyed. The Kursk still seems like he's trying. Okay, that's an Italian. That thing's got a lot of guns, but no AA. The Kursk seems to have been trying to launch missiles, but has been taken out by the destroyer on the rear. So that's just the 3 of us against that thing. And yes, it's got a lot of guns, so you do need to be careful with these things. They can do a crazy amount of damage with the guns. But I think they have almost no AA, so on their own, they should be relatively susceptible to anti-ship missiles. So, let's see if he comes around beyond the island. He is firing at our submarine, but submarine isn't having any of it. Submarine is hiding behind the island, and is he coming out? Yes, he's coming out. Okay. If that's the case, missiles out, and at this range, I'm just going to go defensive against his guns. It's still going to hurt. But yeah, I have to be careful here because my missiles are obviously busy. My AA is busy shooting at his helicopter. So I got a couple torpedoes, but I got him killed before these would even reach. And yeah, that it was a Barracuda on our side actually. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing you can do with this little ship. It's a great escort. It's a great AA ship, and it's a good scout. It's completely useless against submarines, but that's also not what you're there to do. You're not there to run on your own. You're there to escort friendly ships and lend AA assistance, and you can actually do a reasonable amount of damage with these things. So fun little ship that. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.